Rev it up and welcome to Cars Yeah, show number 1382. Today on Cars Yeah, I'm celebrating the 23rd annual Ironstone Concours that takes place on September 28th at the beautiful Ironstone Vineyards in Murphys, California. To learn more about this fantastic event, go to ironstoneconcours.org.
What doesn't kill you will make you stronger.
This is Cars Yeah, where you'll enjoy interviews with inspiring automotive enthusiasts. Mark Green is here to provide you with a fuel injection of automotive inspiration. So get in, sit down, buckle up, and get ready for a wild ride here on Cars Yeah.
What's the worst thing for your car's interior? No, it's not that milkshake the kid spilled in the back seat. It's the sun. Harmful UV rays cook your automobile's interior hour after hour when it's parked outside, even on a cloudy day. What's the solution? Covercraft sunscreens. They protect your dash, seats, and interior finishes from those damaging UV rays while keeping the interior temperature tolerable, even on the hottest summer days. No more painfully sizzling seats and steering wheels for you. They unfold quickly and easily install, stay where you put them, and are custom patterned for an exact fit. The foam core acts as a cooling insulator, and you can get yours in different colors and finishes. And they even fold up easily and store under your seat or on the floor. I've used Covercraft sunscreens for years, and they are a fast and easy solution that protect my beloved cars when they're not in the garage. Learn more and order yours at covercraft.com. Want to protect your entire vehicle? Get a car cover from Covercraft. They have those too. That's covercraft.com and tell them Mark sent you. Hello, automotive enthusiasts. I'm revved up and so excited to introduce today's very special guest calling in from Minneapolis, Charles Test. Hey, Charles, are you buckled up and ready for a fun ride?
Yes, I am.
All right. And I happen to know a little secret. I know one of the race cars he drives has no seat belts, and we're going to learn a little bit about that. So we're not buckled up today, but we're holding on, and we're going to have some fun. Charles Test is part of the Ragtime Racers, a group the racer Brian Blaine has put together, where he runs Blaine Motorsports Foundation. There, Charles helps research the various automobiles that they restore. Charles is the great-grandson of Charles E. Test, one of the founders of the National Motor Vehicle Company in Indianapolis, Indiana, way back in 1900 through 1924. He graduated from Minneapolis College of Art and Design in 1978, and he lives in Minneapolis. He got into motorcycles, and his first bike was a 38 Harley-Davidson Knucklehead. He's had Nashes and Studebakers and Edsels and a Chevy pickup. He started the website chuckstoyland.com in 2006, where he shares his incredible collection of historic postcards and photos. Charles got into vintage racing in 2014 as a mechanician. We're going to learn what that term means with Brian in a 1911 National Racer that Charlie Mertz drove to a 7th place finish in the first Indy 500. And today, Charles pilots his own 1911 National Speedway Roadster. By the way, I got to ride in that car about a year ago at the first time I visited Ironstone, and I can tell you, oh my gosh, was that an adventure. We're going to learn about that too. So Charles, I've told our listeners a little bit about you. Would you take a brief moment and share a little more about your career and a very obvious passion you have for very old automobiles?
Well, I've always been enamored with history. I thought there was a lot of information and a lot of knowledge to learn from history because people are always repeating history, so there's a lot to learn from the past. I come from Indianapolis, so there's the automotive capital of the world, and my family's involved with automobiles, automobile parts, and I got along better with cars than I did with motorcycles. I'm safer on four wheels than two.
Yeah, we all are.
Back when I was young, you could get a used car, $100, $200 cheap, and then fix it up and get it to run. Usually they were towed home, mind you. And over the many years, they eventually got restored, and I would drive them until the next one came by, and you get the next car you love, and sooner or later you let those go too. In 2014, I was lucky that my friend John was talking to Brian Blaine, who said he needed a mechanician for the Monterey Historics in 2014. A mechanician is a riding mechanic, the passenger in an early race car. They watched what was going on. They watched the wheels. They pumped the gas. They checked the oil was flowing. And sometimes they put out fires and did other emergency maneuvers. And I thought I was going to be Brian's mechanician for a number of years until 2015 when a 1911 National Speedway Roadster, my dream car, came up for auction at Hershey, and I bought it and went to race driving school in 2016, and I've been driving ever since.
You know, this is such a fun story, and I tell you, that day that I got to ride with you was really a dream come true. It was so cool. I got to be a mechanician, probably the worst mechanician on the planet, but I did do a pretty good job. I kept pumping the fuel pressure. I kept us going. I watched that gauge so carefully. I probably missed a lot of the view, but I certainly had a spectacular time. Up until then, that was the oldest car I had ever driven in, although I did get to ride in a 1913 Rolls-Royce during the Tour de Elegance this year at Pebble Beach, which was a little different than your car, maybe a little bit more cushy, but definitely interesting and definitely fun. So I can't thank you enough, Charles, for that spectacular morning that we spent together in your car. It was just absolutely brilliant. We're going to start with a success quote or a mantra. This is some kind of saying that's been part of your life, perhaps. It's a nice way to get the inspirational tires turning here on Cars Yeah. So, Charles, take the wheel.
Well, what doesn't kill you will make you stronger.
Yeah.
The hard way.
I've heard that before. How does that relate to your life around old cars?
Well, it doesn't really relate to old cars so much. I've had good luck with them. Usually it has to do with other individuals in my past.
Oh, yeah.
I learned a lot from in a negative way, but hopefully it'll inoculate me for the future.
You know, this is true, and we all have people that come and go into our lives, and I always say this, my regular listeners will know this. You know, my mom always used to say, most good moms would say to their kids, be careful who you make friends with, hang out with good people. And it works in life as you get older too, doesn't it?
Yes, it does. It just, how steep is your learning curve?
Yeah, that's how much do you want to repeat? You talked about repeating history in the past. Yeah. And you know, the thing I've learned over time is when you're younger, your intuition kind of tells you that this is probably not the right person to be with. And if you learn from that, hopefully you'll identify those folks much quicker and not invite them into your lives.
Yes. And I have done that lesson now.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. Well, I would love for you to share a story that instigated this passion you have for cars. I mean, with the family history you have, it's quite phenomenal. But is there a pivotal moment in your life when you knew that, like many in your family, you were going to be a car guy too?
Well, my first car was my dad's 1965 Mustang, and I really enjoyed that. It was a 289 V8 with 4 on the floor. Drove that during high school and during college. I enjoyed that a great deal. Later on, I used to read Underground Comics, Zap Comics, and Mr. Natural was always cruising around in some really cool-looking cars. I thought they were cartoon cars. They turned out to be real. Nashes, Hudsons, Studebakers, and the like. So, I can buy these and have them myself. So that's what I started to do. Various people would know of my interest in old cars. Oh, you've got to buy this car. Oh, it's the greatest thing in the world. You've got to buy it. You got to buy it. So if they were cheap enough, I usually did and fixed them up in my driveway and drove them for a good while. I still have a few of them.
Yeah. Old cars are definitely something that runs through your veins, that's for sure. I always like to talk about a big challenge or a failure that people face in their lives. And the reason I bring this up is not so much to drum up old, bad memories, but more to share with others that there was a great learning lesson with this situation. So walk us through maybe one of those that happened to you and tell us how that experience helped you gain even more momentum as you move forward in your career and your life and your business.
Well, that would have been my days as a historic real estate developer and a landlord back in the 80s and 90s in Minneapolis. What I learned was that housing is extremely political. There are 1,001 things beyond your control. People, taxes, regulations, economic times, interest rates, just a lot of things beyond your control that even if you did your very best to be a good landlord, you could still end up losing big time. And I'm very happy with vintage racing that I'm hanging out with very good, honest people, and that when you fix something, it'll stay fixed for a while until the next race at least, but it's something within your control. And because if you work hard and do it right, it'll keep working.
Yeah, absolutely. You know, my father worked in that world a bit. He was an architect and eventually did some developments and things, projects that he designed and built. And in my first career, I worked in advertising, and I worked with a lot of developers, a lot of brokers. And if that's one thing I learned working with those guys and watching their businesses is definitely that. And I remember a huge downturn in the economy when all these young guys that were driving nice cars and wearing the best suits, and I used to look at them and they were clients of mine, and I'd think maybe that's the career I should have had. These guys have much better cars than me. All of a sudden, everything collapsed and all these investments went south and they lost everything. It was really a sad time, and it wasn't their fault. These guys worked their tails off. But you know what? The economy can throw a nasty curve at real estate, can't it?
It sure can.
Yeah.
It's nothing you can do about it.
Nope. And for guys like you and I, we're about the same age bracket here. We know these things are going to come and go, and they do repeat themselves. You talked about history. Yes. It does come back. You know, we've had
cycles. Yes.
Yeah, there are cycles, and we've had a pretty good run here. But caveat emptor, buyer beware. So stick to old cars. Maybe you'll have more fun. Well, let's talk about your first really special car. You talk about that Mustang you had, but I want you to talk about the first car you acquired that was really special to you, something you went, wow, I finally got this thing, and maybe share a memory you have about that vehicle.
Well, my dream car was the 1911 National, which wasn't until 2015, though. There were probably a dozen or more before that, 50s cars primarily.
Yeah, when you found that car, what kind of condition was it in? I mean, it's beautiful right now, and it runs amazing. I'll tell you something, Charles, sitting there and watching you drive that car, and we were in that car for 2 or 3 hours. It was a long drive, and there's no casual driving a car like a 1911 National. I mean, you were working your tail off the whole time.
Well, you need to pay attention all the time, yeah. Well, the condition was, it was billed at the auction as restored, quote, quote, restored, which, but then when it came across the auction block, it was smoking like a smokescreen from a naval destroyer. So that made us wonder, but I wanted it, so I kept bidding.
Yeah.
And it turned out to be, it was not restored.
Of course.
Plane restorations had to go through the car 100% to make it drivable, runnable, and safe to race.
Yeah.
And they did. They did a great job.
You know, racing a car like that, I'm imagining I went to racing school. I raced vintage cars, but I raced cars from the early 60s. Open wheel Lotus, closed wheel sports racer, a Lola T290. A car like a 1911, when you were going to racing school, did you tell them what you were planning on racing? And I'm wondering what their reaction was.
Well, yes, I told them what I was up to, that I was going to be driving a 1911 National, and they just sort of looked at me funny and scratched their heads, and I should have had a picture with me.
Yeah, I think so.
I sent pictures after I graduated. This is what I'm driving now, guys.
Yeah.
Oh, really? Oh, okay.
Yeah, exactly. It's an amazing automobile. Let me ask you this from the standpoint of racing a car like that. I mean, they don't go super fast, but you feel like you're going 10 times faster than you are. At least I felt that way sitting in that car. You feel very exposed, very open. The car's moving around a lot. Your hands were just going, we're Skyping so he can see what I'm doing. They were just sawing the wheel. And it wasn't because he was trying to drift through corners or anything. And I think the biggest thing with that car I noticed was braking. So when you take that out on a course like Laguna Seca, what's your mindset there? How do you manage that, a vehicle, a beast like that?
Well, brake first and then turn into the turn and downshift if you can. You get used to it. I mean, I have a foot brake and I have a lever brake. You just learn, this is the momentum I'm going. This feels safe.
Yeah.
For me, I'm a novice driver, so it's probably I probably go slower than other ones. This year I'm driving a 1910 National Racer.
Oh, wow.
That one has a foot brake that actually works, which is very exciting because then I can keep both hands on the wheel, which always makes the driver feel better when you're going through a turn.
Yeah.
Or before the turn, for that matter. So
absolutely.
It's a better experience.
Yeah, well, it's phenomenal. I love the fact that you and Brian and other racers not only restore these magnificent pieces of history, but take them out and exercise them the way you do. And I know at the Ironstone Concours, you guys took these old cars out onto that big dirt field that Steve Couts was nice enough to grade his hay field away and let you guys take people for incredible rides. I mean, and they're going to do that again this year. I saw more smiles that day and more people just pumped up and excited about riding in those cars. I've got a great picture of Brian covered in speckles of mud.
We all were.
Yeah, I think you all were. I was thinking it must have taken you guys a week to clean all the mud off those cars.
Well, it was a chore. Yes, it was, Brian says.
Yeah, it's fantastic. Is there a car you've owned that you really wish you had back?
No, actually, no. I'm lucky that way, I guess. I've kept the ones that I loved the very, very most and let the ones that I didn't go.
Yeah, well, good for you. I've had a lot of sob stories on this show of guests, including my own, of cars that I wish I'd kept that I'd let go. Let's talk a little bit about what has you excited and fired up today. I want to start with the projects that you're working on there at Blaine Motorsports Foundation. I think it's great that you've hooked up with Brian and that you guys work on these old cars together. You do a lot of research for him. What has you excited about that position?
Well, when you research, you find out about the cars, about the manufacturer, about the components, and you find pictures of the cars, which really help a lot in restoration. And if you want to restore a car accurately, going back to the original sources is the way to go. And I've been very fortunate at researching eBay, and then I found a lot of great stuff at the Detroit Public Library, and the Antique Automobile Association library has been extremely helpful, and there's lots and lots of fascinating information, which I've gotten from them and put up on my website at chuckstoyland.com.
It's very cool. And this term Ragtime Racers, this group of you guys, tell me more about that.
Well, basically, Brian wanted to create a group, a name, so people would know what to call us, as opposed to the pre-war racing group or something like that.
The old guys.
And Ragtime is the era that we represent, the early part of the 20th century. And we go out, Brian finds the people, or the people find him, hopefully, who want to race their cars at speed on the world-famous racetracks around the country. And it's the coolest thing and the most fun thing I've ever done in my life. And I can't imagine why we don't have a very long line lined up waiting to join us. It's incredible.
Well, hopefully after this broadcast, there'll be some more people that are aware of what you guys are doing. Of course, I'll push that out there on all my social media so people can learn more about it. Tell us a little bit about your website, Chuck's Toyland.
Well, Chuck's Toyland, I've been collecting postcards, photographs, and other paper items for 40 years or more. And it doesn't do any good sitting in my house in my bookcases. So I was going to write a book, but then I thought, well, nowadays everyone creates a website. And then I can add to that indefinitely, which is what I've been doing.
Yeah,
I just passed 17,000 images, for example, recently.
Wow. I think it's great that you're sharing this because a lot of people collect things and they don't share them. I know people that collect cars that never take them out, never share them with people, never drive them. They're just kind of financial investments and they sit away in dark rooms and nobody can ever see them. The fact that you share your collection with people is fantastic. Also, that's what you guys are doing there at Blaine Motorsports Foundation, sharing these cars with people, getting people to know about them. I know the big smiles you see on little kids' faces when they see these old cars, either on a website or in real life, if they're lucky enough to go to a car show or a race. They just go, man, that's a car? I mean, because it's so foreign, the concept of how simple it is. You don't even have windows in that car.
Or windshields, yes,
yeah.
That's true. But we also invite them to sit in the car, sit at the steering wheel, and have pictures taken. And say when you grow up, you can be a driver too.
Yeah, I think it's great. There's a great picture of a past Cars Yeah guest and friend of mine and probably yours too, Lynn St. James, sitting in one of your guys' car. That is just brilliant. Love the shot of her in that car. When you think about the fast car she drove to go all the way back in time, I think it's very cool. Share with us your thoughts about the Ironstone Concours. This year, it's in its 23rd year. All week this week, you've heard me talk about Ironstone. I had Gail and Steve Couts, who run the winery there on the show, and it started this thing. What does the Ironstone Concours mean to you?
Well, it means an opportunity to see some really fine quality cars, and for us to share our cars with the public. And now we get to give them rides to boot and raise money for the future farmers of America. I mean, a worthy cause, fun for everyone, great cars, good weather, wine. What more do you want?
It's got it all. That's for sure. It's a fantastic event. I'll remind our listeners, just go to ironstoneconcours.org and you can learn a lot more about it. September 23rd is the date. All right, up next is the last lap. But before we put the pedal to the metal, let's say thank you to today's Cars Yeah sponsors. When you want proven performance, there's one brand that's been around since 1938. That's Edelbrock, building the finest American-made performance products for the street and track. Edelbrock's products are designed and dyno-proven to deliver maximum results. Edelbrock has thousands of made-in-the-USA performance products for all makes and models. From their new AVS2 carburetor and innovative ProFlow 4 EFI for your muscle car or truck, to superchargers for your daily driver and more, visit Edelbrock.com to check out the latest products for your ride. And when you're ready to check out, enter Cars Yeah in the coupon code and get 10% off your order. That's Edelbrock, automotive performance since 1938. You take care of your cars, but who takes care of your investments? Tune-ups aren't just for engines. Updating your financial plan is important too. Your GPS may take you from A to B, but it won't help you on the road to financial freedom. For that, you need a good co-pilot and a very trusted advisor. Chris Kimball, CFP, is just the man for the job. He'll guide you down that road without driving you crazy. For over 25 years, Chris has helped people just like you and me with their financial planning and investments. With a master's degree in financial services, he is eminently qualified, and he's a car guy too. Learn more at chrisvkimball.com or call 866-ON-A-PLAN. Securities through Money Concepts Capital Corp. Member FINRA SIPC. CK Financial Services is not affiliated with Money Concepts Capital Corp. Are you looking for a way to get your products or services into the ears of thousands of automotive enthusiasts around the globe? I can help. This is Mark Green here at Cars Yeah, and I'd be honored to be an influencer and ambassador for your brand in a unique and personal way. 5 days a week, thousands of subscribers and listeners enjoy the Cars Yeah podcast and website. Contact me today and I'll show you how at mark@carsyeah.com or connect with me through the Cars Yeah website at carsyeah.com. Okay, Charles, we are back and I have a bit of an introspective question for you. I kind of want to get into your head a little bit here. If you woke up tomorrow and you were a car parked in the garage, what would Charles be and why?
Well, it'd be something old, no doubt. Well, it might be fun to be a national six-cylinder car. There are a few of those. They raced those in 1909, 1910. We'd love to find one and race it, but I don't think there's any left in the world right now.
Yeah.
But they were very successful, and we have lots of fours, but we don't have any sixes, so that would be a good thing to wake up to.
That's kind of cool. Are you guys, are people still finding these old cars stuck in the backs of barns and behind buildings and things?
I'm not so sure about our pre-war racers, though you never know. I mean, I certainly watch Haggerty's always coming up with another barn find, or somebody in Europe is coming up with a underground garage with, 50 ancient Fiats and Porsches and whatnot in them. Even nowadays, it's still possible, apparently, though. Something pre-war is Edwardian. Is getting harder and harder, I imagine.
Yeah, rare as hen's teeth, as they say. All right, well, we're entering the last lap. I'm going to fire off a series of questions and ask you to give our listeners some quick blips of that national throttle. So here we go. What's the best automotive or racing advice you've ever received?
Good question. Well, I guess it'd be brake before the turn and shift before the turn.
Yeah, don't do it in the middle of a turn. That's for sure. You may end up going the wrong way. How about a personal habit of yours that you believe has contributed to your successes over the years?
Well, nowadays I work out 3 times a week whenever I'm at home and stay in good physical shape. And that's important if you're racing.
Yeah, absolutely.
From the standpoint of being able to turn the wheel to simply being alert and aware of what you're doing.
Yeah, absolutely. And take care of yourself. Do you have a resource that you'd like to share with our listeners?
Well, I'd love to share my website, chuckstoyland.com. It's also on Facebook. And the Ragtime Racers are also on Facebook. And you can Google Ragtime Racers and find out more about us there.
Absolutely. I'll make sure I put links to all of those on Charles' website here at the Cars Yeah website. How about if I could arrange for you to sit down and have a drink or a meal with anyone in the automotive industry, living or deceased? Who would it be?
I think it'd be my great-grandfather, Charles E. Test, who I never knew. He died with my grandfather. Test was 16. I never knew my grandfather Test for very well either. I was born after his prime. And it'd be fascinating to learn, what his thinking was, his relationship with Arthur Newby. They were very good friends. And my grandfather, my uncle, and a cousin were all named Donald Newby Test. So I really think that says a lot about their friendship and relationship.
Yeah, that'd be pretty darn cool for sure. Must be neat having somebody in your history, your family chain that was involved in old automobiles and loved them like you do. So very, very fortunate. How about a book? Is there a book you'd like to share with our listeners?
Books. Well, I read 2 papers every day. I recommend the Wall Street Journal anyway.
Okay, well, we can recommend that.
I'd have to think about that. I don't have enough time to think about a book right now.
Well, we'll put Wall Street Journal there as a daily reader. There we go. I'll remind our listeners you can find all these links on Charles' show notes page on the Cars Yeah website. Just type Charles Test in there and that page will pop right up. All right, Charles, today I'm going to buy you a very cool car, collector car, race car, doesn't matter what it is. I'm going to buy it and park it in your garage. But there are some rules to this game that may make it a little bit of a challenge. I don't think this is a tough rule. You need to drive it. No garage queens allowed around here, so that's an easy one. You can't sell it to buy a bunch of other toys with, so that little ingenious idea, it's like getting the Aladdin's lamp and wishing for 1,000 wishes. Can't do that one either. You got to keep this car, but here's the kicker. It's the only collector car you can have in your garage. So what's it going to be?
Gosh, I feel I already have it.
Well, you may be one of those lucky few here on Cars Yeah that does already have that. Is that the 1911 National?
Well, yes, it would be, but I own 4 Nationals, so...
oh, my gosh.
They're all special.
Do you have a favorite? Do I dare ask which of your children is a favorite?
Well, I think it's still the 1911 right now, but, there's a 1903 National Electric Buggy, 1905 National Model C, a 1910 National Racer, and a 1911 National Speedway Roadster. All special in their own ways.
Yeah, I think with a garage like that, I think it's easy for you to say, Mark, you don't need to buy me a car. I've got everything I need.
I just need more money to buy more cars or restore more cars.
Well, hey, don't we all? Yeah, that's for sure. That's for sure. Well, Charles, you've taken me on a great ride today. This has been fun talking with you, reconnecting with you after that fabulous drive you took me on in your car during the Ironstone Concours last year. I want to thank you for sharing your journey. Could you offer us a little parting piece of wisdom or guidance before you drive off into the sunset in that 1911 National? Well,
we'll be at Ironstone this year, coming up later this month, and we'll have the 1910 and the 1911 Nationals there, I believe.
Yep, absolutely.
And, looking for lots of people to give rides to, and there's going to be 8 Ragtime Racers there, I believe, and we're going to be giving at least 40 rides.
Wow. Well, that's going to take place on the 23rd. I encourage you to attend the Ironstone Concours. It's a fabulous event. I don't think you'll go to any other event that's quite like this one. You can go ride in an old race car on a dirt field and then go down to the lake and ride in an amphicar. There's so many cool things. In the afternoon, when it's getting a little warm, go up to the wine tasting room and taste some of their beautiful wines there at the Ironstone Vineyards. It's an incredible experience. You know what? The ticket's $25. I mean, you cannot beat this for an incredible adventure. So check it out at the ironstoneconcours.org. Charles, thanks for calling in today, being so generous with your time and expertise and for sharing your experiences. Until you and I talk again, I'll see you at the Ironstone Concours. Take care.
Thank you very much.
You're welcome. Hey, Mark Green here from Cars Yeah. Did you know you can now see me on the Cars Yeah TV show? It's a weekly visit to some of my past Cars Yeah podcast guests, and I take you along for the ride. You go behind the garage door and into their lives, their businesses, and you get to see what makes them successful. With tens of millions of viewers, Cars Yeah TV is making its mark. Cars Yeah TV is available on MAV TV and Lucas Oil Racing TV. You'll find MAV TV on Direct TV, Fubo TV, Fios by Verizon, or you can stream it through Lucas Oil Racing Television online. And they said I only had a face for podcasting.
Thank you so much for joining us on today's ride here at Cars Yeah. Drive on over to carsyeah.com to find show notes and inspiring automotive fun. Download your free copy of Filler Up, a fun book filled with gorgeous photographs of fuel filler fun, including quotes from more inspiring automotive enthusiasts. Download your copy today, and we'll see you next time on Cars Yeah.